Hello! If you've been following my vlogs so far, you know that I've been documenting my experience here at FIT kind of like on a day-by-day and week-by-week basis. So you'll see me start a project and then you might not actually get to see the end of that project until many weeks in the future, just because it takes me a while to finish things. And that's just like kind of the nature of this program. So I thought, why not try to make a video instead of kind of like dragging a project out throughout like an entire month, kind of as I'm experiencing in the real world. I thought that maybe I could take all my footage from a project and compile it into one video so you can experience a whole project from start to finish. So I'm in the beginning of my next project for my applied surface design for home class. And for this class, we have to make a bath collection. Pretty much there are three major components of this collection. We have a big hand-painted textile repeat, which is pretty much just like a big painting that if you tiled it in any direction would repeat indefinitely. And that's gonna be for our shower curtain. Then we have to make two hard bath products, which is pretty much like a soap dish or a little soap dispenser or a trash can or just anything that's like not specifically a textile that you might find in your bathroom. And the last thing we have to make is a matching hand towel. So pretty much these four components, I think they all have to like be in the same theme and coordinate together. So if someone was going to the store, they could like buy this whole collection to decorate their bathroom. Those objects are pretty much the only like hard set requirements that we have for this class. So in terms of theme, I could pretty much do whatever I want. When I was first like trying to brainstorm what it is that I wanted to do for this project, I honestly had no ideas and I was like thinking and I just could not think of anything that I was happy with. And then suddenly an idea hit me. So last winter break, I went to Disney World with my family and we were walking around and I was really inspired by the whole look of the whole Tomorrowland section of Disneyland, which is all kind of like about like the retro perspective of what the future is gonna look like. It's very like atomic age and there's a lot of like metallics and silver and spaceships and you pretty much know the look. I'll put some pictures on screen. So I thought, okay, let me take this like atomic age aesthetic and maybe use that for this collection because I feel like in a bath collection, you can kind of be a little bit cheesy and ridiculous. And I thought it would just be fun, you know? So then I started thinking like, okay, what is like the subject of my design gonna be? I have the aesthetic, but what is it that I'm actually gonna paint? And I started thinking about how when I was a kid, my mom and I used to collect rubber ducks. And I think at one point I remember counting, I had like a little sheet on my shelf of them and I would make a tally every time I had a new duck. I think at some point I got to like over 200 ducks. Like we really had a lot. So yeah, rubber ducks are like very just happy and nostalgic to me. So I thought, okay, why not take this like nostalgic rubber duck and then mix it with this like nostalgic atomic age and just create something that's like silly and maximalist and colorful and rubber ducky. So I took that concept and I started making my mood board, which pretty much just entailed me combing through Pinterest and just finding images that kind of captured this aesthetic that I'm going for, which I then assembled in Photoshop. And now I'm at the point where I need to start designing my motifs. So to do so, I wanted to go over to the New York Public Library and browse their picture collection to just like see what they have and to get some inspiration so I can get some ideas going. So yeah, let's go to the library. The picture collection is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. It's just a giant collection of pictures and it basically functions as an analog version of Google image search. Sometimes when I'm starting to explore a new topic, Google can be really overwhelming, and this is a great way to narrow things down a bit. I love the whole experience of traveling to this gorgeous library, searching for the perfect folder, and browsing each image one by hand. Today, I specifically looked through the 1940s and the 1950s art and design folders, and I picked out some repeating patterns that inspired me. Again, I just finished up at the picture collection and overall I think my research went pretty well. I'm pretty excited about this topic. It's definitely very much out of my comfort zone. Like I've never really done any kind of like reference to decades or other eras, so I feel like I want to do it right, like and actually do research and figure out like what are the tenets of that style, but I also do want to make it my own at the same time. So I have all those references that I scanned in. They're now in my inbox, and tomorrow in class, I'm just gonna start sketching, so I'll see you then. So my goal for today is to take all of the scans that I took at the library yesterday and just kind of break down the essence of this style and figure out like what I want to borrow from it and what I want to modify so that it can fit my theme. So here's my little pile of doodles. It definitely wasn't meant to look pretty, but the goal of this was to just kind of like stare at all of these prints that I got from the library and figure out what shapes are the most common. So there's definitely this like boomerang shape that's found pretty much across all of the prints, and these like semicircles that kind of get more and more squished. And then these little starbursts, which actually ended up being my favorite. And I started making this little doodle here about how they might exist in circles, which I think might go really well with my theme if I kind of include them as little like soap bubbles. So I'm definitely gonna keep exploring that.
Over the next week or so, I continued to sketch, and honestly, I really struggled. The atomic age style is so abstract and so random, but somehow everything still looks exactly the same, and I wasn't sure how to make it my own. But then I had a breakthrough. I knew that I wanted to feature those iconic little boomerang shapes in my design, and while I was drawing some, I realized that they could be turned into little clawfoot bathtubs. And this is the moment where everything just started falling into place. Once I had a little collection of motifs, I assembled them into a repeating pattern using Photoshop's pattern preview feature. This is a super easy way to make a tile that repeats indefinitely in every direction. So basically, I just made copies of each of my motifs, and I rotated and scooched everything around until I was happy with the layout. I didn't really know how exactly I wanted my rubber duck to look yet, so I was working with a placeholder until inspiration came to me. Eventually, I created this little guy, which has a boomerang shape for a wing, and I thought it was really cute. I ended up working on the duck for a little while because I really liked how it turned out, and I thought it might be fun to feature it again as a larger motif on some of the other pieces of this collection. So I played around for a little bit, and I eventually created this design that features some of the other shapes from my shower curtain. And then I used this little motif and I created a mock-up of a potential hand towel design. Good morning! I'm on my way to campus and I have my enormous bag of paints with me today, so after my morning lecture I can mix all of the colors that I need to actually start painting my products today, which should be pretty exciting, so let's go! The process of making our mood boards involves researching color trends from trend forecasting websites like WGSN. Pretty much these websites just predict what colors are going to be super trendy in the upcoming years. So when it's time for us to start painting, I need my paints to match these specific colors as closely as possible. Because I want a really flat and super graphic look for my collection, I'm deciding to use gouache, so I need to take these store-bought tubes of paint and mix things together until they're exactly the right colors. Lucky for me, since this isn't my first time doing this, I have quite a large collection of leftover paints from my past projects. I dug through my leftovers and I found things that matched my target colors as closely as possible, and then I tweaked them as needed. Since my color palette for this project features a lot of pastel colors, for the most part, aside from some subtle color shifting, I just had to add a lot of white paint to my existing colors. And it was at this exact moment that I realized that this was my last tube of white paint, which was definitely not going to be enough. So I literally just left everything on my desk exactly as is, and my friends and I ran over to Blick to restock. Okay, back to color mixing. This beautiful blue is from my Halloween collection, which you may have seen in my last semester's vlogs. For my current ducky project, I needed a blue that was a little bit lighter and a little more turquoise. So I added yellow and white gouache, and I mixed it with a super cheap brush that I don't mind totally ruining, and I made a quick swatch to see how the color would dry. And I repeated this process until the color was exactly right. also needed halftones of each color, so once I finished mixing the color, I poured a little bit into an extra jar and then mixed it 50-50 with white gouache. This gives me more tones to work with, but it doesn't affect the overall number of colors that I'm using in my design. Being mindful of color numbers is really only important for the printing process if I were to mass produce this design using rotary or screen printing methods. Since in this class we are pretending that our designs are for production, we have to make sure that we don't go over 8 colors because that's a typical factory maximum for something like a bath collection. So I have my 8 colors and I have my halftones. Once all my colors were mixed, I sent a black and white version of my design to the print lab so I could trace it onto some nice paper and eventually start painting. I ended up picking out a green piece of paper so I wouldn't have to paint in my background, which is something that I'd never actually done before. The green colored paper was definitely a risk because it could have shifted all the colors that I mixed in a green direction. But I figured since my paints had so much white in them, which makes them more opaque, it might be okay. Thankfully, it actually ended up working out perfectly, and in the end, it saved me so much time.
Straight hours of painting later, and I'm done with my shower curtain, which feels so good. Today's actually my last day of school for a little while because we're finally on spring break, which is so needed. And I'm actually going to take you on some of my adventures next week because I actually have some plans that directly involve this project. So I'll see you in Florida.
My spring break was spent hanging out with my little sister in Miami, Florida, which was a much needed rest from the craziness of school. But we did find out that there was a rug tufting class happening in that area, which is something that both of us have really wanted to try. I had no clue what it is that I wanted to tuft, but then I realized that a tufted bath mat would actually be a really fun thing to include as an extra piece in my bathroom collection. Our tufting class was hosted at Artisan's Playhouse, which is a super cool space for workshops and classes. My sister made this grumpy little flower man, which was an original design of her own, and I absolutely love it. This was our first time ever tufting, and I will say that all the tufters on social media definitely made this look easy. But once we got the hang of it, it was actually really fun. Hey, Tiana.
Hello, I'm back in New York, I'm back in school, and I actually only have 2 days until this entire assignment is due, which is not a lot of time, and I have quite a lot of things that I need to get done, so let's do it. So far, the pieces that you've seen me complete for this collection are my shower curtain repeat, which was that big painting, and the tufted rug, which actually wasn't like a requirement at all, it was just kind of like an extra little thing that I did. So now I have to finish all the other requirements. And that includes a hand towel design and then 2 patterns that would be applied to hard goods like soap dispensers and stuff. So let me show you what I've been working on. So the first thing that I want to tackle today is my hand towel, and I'm going to put some examples on the screen of the style of hand towel that I'm going for. And pretty much what you'll notice is that a lot of these towels just have like some kind of embroidered emblem on the front and then a very simple decorative border, which is exactly what I want to do. But instead of like embroidering it or simulating embroidery or anything like that, we just have to paint it. So let me show you what my painting is gonna look like. Here's my little hand towel idea, and basically what this is a section of the towel as if it were folded over on itself and hung on a rack. So all we have to paint is just the portion that you would see in that kind of a display. And yes, you might recognize my little emblem in the middle there. That's exactly what I tufted back in Miami. So this towel will pretty much exactly match that, which I think will be a cute little coordinate. I also made a black and white version of it, which I'm gonna print out and trace onto some paper. So I totally messed up the proportions of this. My file size was all wrong, but I went ahead and fixed it. So this is what my file looks like right now. And then I printed out the actual size version, which I'm gonna trace onto my paper now. Ta-da! And now it's time to paint.
I really wanted this painting to have super crisp lines, but the paper I bought was really textured, which I didn't expect at all, and that ended up making the painting process a little more challenging. But besides that, I think everything went really well.
Okay, so I thought that was gonna be like a super quick painting. It was like, no problem at all, you know, it's just like a little motif. But somehow that ended up taking me like almost 2 hours, which is worrying me a little bit just because I have a lot left to do tonight, but I'll make it work. I'm not gonna worry. So let me tell you about the next things I have to do. The last 2 pieces that I have to do for my collection are those hard goods, but instead of like painting a soap dispenser or painting a little toothbrush holder, I instead decided that I was gonna make patterns that tile indefinitely, kind of like my shower curtain, that can then be put on these items in production, if that makes sense. So when I was in Miami, I started making some digital sketches of what those look like, and I actually ended up putting them in Photoshop on a little soap dispenser and a toothbrush holder just to see what they would look like. So let me show you all of that. Here's my little texture mapping. I have a soap dispenser with this striped pattern on it, and then a toothbrush holder with this kind of vertical placement pattern. And let me show you what the actual paintings are gonna look like. So here's that pattern that's on the toothbrush holder. It repeats in every single direction as kind of like a vertical stripe, but all I have to paint is this little box right here. And then here's my stripe. It also repeats in every direction, and I've just got to paint this little box right here. And just like last time, I made myself a little black and white template to make things easier, so I'm gonna print that out and then get going.
After a total of 7 straight hours of painting, all of my pieces were finally done.
Good morning, happy Wednesday. So it is officially one day before this giant project is due, and thankfully all that's left to do is make my presentation board. So I'm at Blick and I'm gonna go buy a big ass board and then put all of this together. Well, I guess I got like 20 minutes to kill, so let's go find some coffee. Mission accomplished, and now let's head to class and put everything together. Okay, there's actually one more thing I want to do really quick before I assemble my final presentation board, and that's just making digitized versions of all of my paintings and just throwing them on the scanner. So let's do that. So my shower curtain design is definitely too big to fit on this scanner bed, and I'm going to show you how I work around that. So basically what I have to do is first scan this whole thing 4 times to get all 4 of the corners captured. Okay, so now I have my 4 corners of my painting all scanned in, and I'm gonna show you how to use Photoshop to merge them all together. So normally when you open Photoshop, you just do File, New, and open up a document, but instead of doing that, if you go to File, Automate, Photo Merge, this window's gonna open up, and using the Browse feature, you can search for your photos, and then select everything you wanna merge together. Hit OK. Hit OK, and then it has to think for a little bit. Boom! Fully assembled painting at actual size at 300 dpi, which is wonderful. And now we can go make a presentation board.
Once I assembled everything, I was ready for the next day, which was our critique. For our critique, we had to show our work to the class and discuss our inspiration and our process, and then receive feedback from both our peers and our professor. So here are some of the things that I shared with our group. My collection of bathroom product designs was inspired by rubber duckies and the atomic age style. When I was doing trend research, I found that there was a predicted resurgence of mid-century aesthetics, so I decided to tackle that trend from a quirky, nostalgic angle that would be suitable for a family bathroom. I painted my designs in gouache as repeating tiles so they could be used widely across a range of bathroom products. And even though my topic is retro, I used pastel, digitally inspired colors to make the collection feel like it's for and from today's day and age. In the beginning, I definitely struggled to find a way to make this iconic atomic age style my own, but once I came up with the boomerang bathtub motif, I felt like things started falling into place, and I ended up having a whole lot of fun with this project. But hang tight, because the fun doesn't stop here.
So as you can see, I got my designs printed on some actual bathroom products, and surprise, you can actually shop these items from the link in this video's description. Before we get into that, let me tell you a little bit about the process of making these things, because I think it's a little bit interesting.
So earlier in the video, you saw me make scans of all of my hand-painted artworks, and I brought these into the computer to fix the repeats, clean them up, color reduce them, etc., which was a long and tedious process. Once all my files were prepared, I went to a website called Contrado to browse their selection of bath products and order some swatches of my designs on their materials. Then I placed an order for this shower curtain, robe, soap dispenser, and toothbrush holder, which are now available in my Contrado shop. These products are custom, digitally printed, and handmade to order in a facility in London, and I picked this company because of their high-quality products and sustainable practices, which are outlined on their website if you're interested in learning more. That does mean that these pieces are a bit pricey, but that money goes towards the complicated process of making custom items, the quality of these products, and the ethical treatment of their employees. And I also get a tiny little bit of the cut for my design work, which is lovely.
So if you wish to treat yourself to any part of my Atomic Duckies collection, the link will be in my video's description. And if you do end up buying something, definitely take a photo and tag me or email me or something, because it'll definitely make me cry happy tears. Not even kidding. Anyway, thank you so much for following along with me on this entire journey. I hope it was fun for you to actually get to see this whole process from prompt to finished product, and I definitely had fun taking you along with me. Please let me know down below in the comments what you thought of this whole video style, this process, my products, anything. I would just love to hear your thoughts. Also, if you stuck around until this point in the video, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button because it definitely helps my channel out a lot. And I will see you in my next video. Bye!